Yes, people, we are in. And I don't know what's happened here to the overlay. There we go. Let's get us all back in. There we go. We're here. That's better. Do you know what? That was a calamity then because literally, as you're watching us now, we can see what's going on each of the screens. I seen Double A come out with the blade glasses. I was like, okay, Double A means business. The shades are coming on. Then I seen G 2 seconds out run off. I thought,
I really
where's G
ran.
going? So if this is anything that the show's going to abide by, then this could be an interesting show today. But how are you, Double A? You feeling good?
Yeah, feeling great. Good start to
I
the day
like
so
it.
far. Are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. School run finished. Straight into a show. What more could you want, G?
Come on, man. It's a good day. Anytime we do a show, especially us three, it's a good chemistry. It's always a good show. And I feel like today's going to be a juicy one for the followers, man. So
It
can't wait
is
to get
going to
into
be
it.
a juicy one. And speaking of today's show, we're speaking managers. So we're looking at this season's Premier League managers. We might talk the history of managers, and then we're going to go into it. The one that everybody always talks about, but we've never done it before, an all-time Premier League 11. But there's a little twist, so stay tuned because it's Double A versus G keeping it G. It should be an interesting one. I'm excited for this one. Do you know what? I'm glad I've not done a team for this today. I'm just sitting back. I'm just going to be the judge and I'm going to let you two go head to head. This could turn into the ball's in your court by the end of the show, G. But plugging the show coming soon. The ball's
I
in
was
your
just about
court.
to say.
Stay tuned because that's going to be a heated one. So, what I want to start with this morning, I want to start with managers. So, we're going to talk all about Premier League managers. So let's take a look at what we've got so far in the league this season. So we've got newly promoted teams coming in. We've got loads of managers from across the globe. When you look at those nationalities, G, it's so multicultural.
Mm.
But I'm going to go into a little bit later. It's not too multi-ethnic. So
Mhm.
which manager are you looking to see this season? Who you looking to keep an eye on?
Um, I'm looking at, and purely because we don't have really any good ones, I'm looking at Graham Potter, just English managers. Graham Potter being one because he seems like he's doing
Yeah.
pretty well with Brighton. You know who I'm really want to see? I really want to see Ten Hag. I just want to see what he does over there at Manchester United. But yeah, those are the two that I'm looking at too.
Do you know what though? Double A Ten Hag. G mentioning Ten Hag. He gives me those kind of "don't mess with me" vibes. It's early, so I didn't want to put the F word in the middle word, but it gives me the "don't F with me" vibes. I feel like. Do you think there'll be a clash between Ten Hag and Ronaldo because Ten Hag's not proven, but he's gonna want to lay the law down in that dressing room?
I think there is going to be a clash. I'm not sure if it's going to be with him and Ronaldo, but I think it's going to be a clash with him and probably one of the stronger personalities in that dressing room. Because if the rumors are true to what I said in the Man United dressing room, there's a lot of characters there that go against the manager and whatever else, and basically they're not really, I would say, giving their all for the team. It seems like they're a bit more about themselves than about the team and about the collective. And if Ten Hag wants to turn things around and get them to improve dramatically, that's going to have to change. So he's going to bump heads with someone. Who it is, I have no idea. But if he doesn't bump heads with people, it's just going to be the same sort of thing that's going on for the
Exactly.
previous seasons.
He's got to go in there and shake a few people about. That's why they've got him. I hope he does. I hope he doesn't do like the Mourinho and come in and then just start complaining. And do you know what I mean? I know that Mourinho didn't have any help, but Ten Hag, just go in there, just mess stuff up. I keep wanting to say these foul language. You know what I mean?
It's
But it's
too
too early.
early. It's
I
too
can't
early.
say that. I
Too
can't say
early.
that before lunchtime. But gee, you mentioned English managers. So what I want to do, I want to point out here the English managers. We've got Scotty Parker at Bournemouth. We've got Stevie G, Graham Potter, as you mentioned before, Frank Lampard, and Eddie Howe. Now, English managers, I don't feel like get the opportunity and enough chance. We look back at the last English manager to win a league title, and it was in 1992, and it was the Leeds manager.
Wow,
And it's mad, isn't it? 1992,
that's
going
crazy.
that far back. Do you think that English managers now only get a first shout of it if they are ex-players?
Yeah, it's kind of looking that way. You know what's so crazy? Until you highlighted, I didn't even realize we had that many English managers in the Premier
Yeah,
League.
yeah.
But would you, okay, would you give any of these managers a job at Manchester City, Liverpool, or Chelsea? Any of those English managers, would you give a job?
I'm glad you've said that, because that's what I was doing when I was doing the show. I was thinking, which English managers have had big jobs? And all I could think of was Roy Hodgson at
Yeah.
Liverpool, Tim Sherwood kind of at Tottenham, if you can call Tottenham a big team, and then Frank Lampard at Chelsea. I literally couldn't think of anybody else. It's interesting what you say, because I would not give any of these
exactly
a job at the top. What would you
and
say?
that's
Top six?
top six.
Teams?
Yeah, you would. It's too difficult. Like there isn't any, maybe Gerrard, and that's just purely off the fact that he won a league title in Scotland. If that's worthy enough to get a top six place, then cool. But other than that, there's no one really there that you would say would be deemed good enough ahead of Klopp, Tuchel, Pep Guardiola, Conte, Mikel Arteta. Do you know what I mean?
Double A.
Boy. Do you know what I was going to say? Until you said Mikel Arteta,
I knew he was going to come in with that.
Take him out.
But I would say personally, everyone else on that list can probably bring as much to the table that Mikel Arteta's previously brought.
Yeah.
If you look at it in the fact that what has Mikel Arteta done as a manager before he got the Arsenal job, everyone there has more experience than him. So
Very true.
when you look at it like that, they could all get the Arsenal job. Yeah. And if you look at someone like Graham Potter or Eddie Howe, I think they would deserve it way over Mikel Arteta, to be honest, if you look at his previous CV and their previous CV.
That's what I wanted to say to you then, Double A. Like, you look at Graham Potter, he has changed Brighton. Like, they play good football. And it's that kind of football that you do it relates to the way Arsenal like to play, or the fans like to see their team play. Do you think Graham Potter and what Eddie Howe has done deserve a chance at a Arsenal, a Tottenham, maybe you could say Chelsea? I don't know. Tuchel's a good manager, but do you think these English managers do deserve that chance rather than looking elsewhere now?
Of all of them, the only one I would really say would, like, for me personally, I would say if you look at the league, how it finished last season, none of these managers deserve to get a top 3 club, I think, personally. How Lampard got it in the first place, we all know.
Double A's had enough. He's like,
he just had enough. Anytime we talk about Lampard, it gets a bit sticky. I know. I already know.
That's it. It's like, do you know what? I'm not even speaking about these guys anymore. I've had enough. I'm going practicing my all-time 11 and coming back. But what Double A was saying, he's back already. He's like,
sorry,
I want more.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened there, but
it's all right. Don't worry.
Yeah, as I said, Lampard, we all know how he got the job, but the only one that I would say deserves to get a job a bit lower than like Liverpool, Chelsea, or City would be Graham Potter. I think he would probably deserve Arsenal or Spurs, maybe a Leicester, those kind of jobs. But I feel none of them, to be at the top level, none of them have proved themselves at that stage yet to basically manage one of the giant clubs in Europe at this moment in time.
Gee, when you look at what Eddie Howe's done, unbelievable job at Newcastle, second half of the season. You look at what Graham Potter's been doing at Brighton. I still think a manager like Pochettino is going to come in and take a job from them if it becomes available. If that Manchester United job was available, why Pochettino, someone who, he might have won the French league, but Eddie Howe could have won the French league with that PSG team. Why is Pochettino getting this job? And now you look at the likes of Wayne Rooney, he's stepped away from Derby County. Do you think Wayne Rooney would get an opportunity before Eddie Howe or Graham Potter if a job became available at one of these top sides?
If it was like a Man United or like an Everton, then yeah. I mean, I don't call Everton a top side, but like in terms of like big club, Everton are a big club. It would be one of those two. It would be more for the sentiment than anything. But one thing I always say with ex-players, especially, and even just English managers in general, they also got to remember, you guys take these jobs. So if you're going to take a job lower down, obviously to learn your trade and be able to kind of fly up the leagues and, you know, just learn what it is to be an actual manager, which is fine. You got to remember, you're taking jobs in the football league. That football league is so up and down. One minute you're one of the best teams in the football league. You're flying through the leagues. Next minute, relegation after relegation after relegation. All of a sudden, you forget who Eddie Howe is. You forget that he was managing Bournemouth. You might forget. I don't even know where Graham Potter was before Brighton. Do you get what I mean? But all of a sudden, I'm looking at Graham Potter like he's actually a very good manager. So they got to kind of see the roles that they're taking as well as, no one wants, Chelsea or Liverpool do not want to hire a manager who was managing Morecambe or Burnley or anything like that, just because that kind of
pluck Morecambe at the back.
So, you know what? I'm sorry, everyone from Morecambe. I didn't even mean. I just saw the name pop up on the screen. But you get what I mean? It's like, no disrespect, but we're looking at managers who have competed probably at a higher level, and unfortunately, these guys are only competing at the lowest level. So people think automatically that's their level.
No, I completely agree. The lower leagues, you can get away with 10 losses in a row.
Yeah.
You come back and you finish mid-table. Like, nobody's got their eyes on these lower leagues until they step up. Look at the likes of, say, Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank came in to the Premier League and now we're all like, whoa, this guy can manage. This is a manager.
Exactly.
But when he was in the lower leagues, like, I wasn't thinking, who's this Thomas Frank guy? Do you know what I mean? Double A's internet is absolutely atrocious wherever he is.
Sorry, guys. Sorry about Double A, guys.
We apologise on behalf of Double A.
We apologise on behalf of Double A.
Keep these managers in mind. I want you to look at all these managers on this list. I'm going to keep the list up. But what I want to do before we kind of move on to a little game I've got, I want to look at BAME and black and ethnic minority managers, because look at that. Wow. Patrick Vieira. No, to be honest, one is good compared to history. Yeah. So we've got Patrick Vieira in the league. I just want to say now, I've got some stats. We've had in the Premier League, bearing in mind 30 years of existence, there's been 10 black managers. 2 of those have been caretaker managers and not got the full-time role. So that's 8 full-time Premier League managers that are black in the last 30 years of the Premier League existence. Now, I say this, Double A, because when you look at the players, we have 1 in 4 players in the Premier League that are black or ethnic minority. So where's the disparity? Do you think it's no opportunities, or do you think it's the players coming out of retirement or coaches that want to get into the game thinking, why, when I'm not going to get that opportunity anyway? Which do you think it is?
I think it's a little bit of everything, if I'm honest. I think there's one, I don't think there's enough black and ethnic minority managers around anyway, for one. Because if I think off the top of my head, I can't really think of that many. 2, I think they probably don't think they're going to get the opportunities, so why would I do it? And 3, I don't think, from in the past, from what I've seen, most of them are treated fairly. If I just go off the top of my head, like Chris Hughton, for example, this guy, from what I've seen, in most places he's been, he hasn't done a bad job. And actually, if I remember looking at his record with his predecessors and people that have taken over the job, and I'll say apart from Graham Potter, I'd say that's improved Brighton. Everyone else that has been in the job before him or after him normally actually has done worse than him and has stayed longer in the job. So you're like, how does that work out? And I actually think with him keeping Brighton up all those times and then him getting, you thought, what did Brighton really want from him? If that makes sense. But then when you see what Graham Potter done, then you kind of have to give them a squeeze because he has stepped them up.
That's it. And I understand that, Double M. Just keep the question with you. I understand that because they want to improve. Brighton want to improve. They've got Graham Potter, is improved. Doesn't matter if he's black, white, Chinese, it doesn't matter because they've improved. But my problem is, why is Chris Hughton never in line for any of the jobs that become available? Why is it always, oh, Frank Lampard, oh, Wayne Rooney? Like, you never hear the names of, like, say, Paul Ince and Chris Powell and managers like this. They're never in the running anymore. Why is that? Because Chris Hughton is a top-class manager.
Yeah, like if you look at the list, like no disrespect to a lot of these guys, but if I look at this list here and I look at, like, for example, I look at Scott Parker, I look at Mikel Arteta, I look at Steven Gerrard. I can't say Thomas Franks, I don't know much about him, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to comment on him. But I have a look at Frank Lampard. I look at probably Jesse Marsch, I would say as well.
Yeah, I was going to say Jesse Marsch.
I look at, those guys. I have to say at least those guys there. If I look at their CVs and I look at Chris Hughton's CVs, how are they in these jobs and he's not? And he hasn't even been talking into contention with these jobs. So I do see the point there.
Yeah. Looking at that, do you think these managers that are coming up, because I've heard like Dwight York had been in to get his badges, but then he's like, there's not going to be many opportunities. So he's kind of like, do I pursue that? Do I pursue a career in presenting? Because you look at Micah Richards coming through, you don't know whether he might have wanted to be a manager. Thierry Henry wanted to be a manager, but now Thierry Henry's kind of doing both, the presenting. Do you think it's because they feel like, even if I go for these jobs, if I go up against, say, a Sam Allardyce or a Stephen Warnock or even like a Rooney or Gerrard or Lampard, these other ex-players, that they're going to get the nod ahead of you? And I'm not saying it's because they're black, but what other reason is it?
Listen, we can play that. We can even play that game, but we all know, the reasons behind it. That will be, for them, that will be one of the smaller reasons, that, someone being of an ethnic minority. But we know. Do you get what I mean? Because even listening to Double A there, and I was just recounting all of the names that he just said, and I was actually deep in it. Why isn't Chris Hughton being offered any of these jobs? But Jesse Marsch, who I don't even know what he did prior to Leeds. Again, all these other managers who don't really have their credibility. But on the flip side, if you come in with the attitude that what's the point, nothing will ever change anyway. So we also have to look at, as ethnic minorities, we also have to look at ourselves and also say, yeah, we can obviously understand the situation and the context behind everything. And we know how the world works. We're not silly people. We're quite clever in that sense. But we also need to understand that if we keep going with that attitude of Dwight York, for example, if you're going with that attitude, what's the point then? Then we're never going to have a black manager at the top level. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Do you think it's reflected as well, Double A, in like the ownership? There's so many owners that are white, middle-aged. We don't have many black owners as well. Do you think it takes that one person to come in and try and change the landscape? Does it take a Patrick Vieira to speak out on this while he's being so successful? Should he be speaking out, or should it be up to, say, the other managers, a Wayne Rooney or a Steven Gerrard, to go like, look, Vincent Kompany's on his way up. Why has Vincent Kompany not got a job in the Premier League? But we have, do you know what I mean? Or is it kind of just dog eat dog? Like, it's my job. I'm not interested in what the next man's doing, because we'd all be the same, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I think it's up to everyone as a collective. It's up to, obviously, I would say someone like Vieira, you can mention it, but then at the same time, he's got his own worries. He's got his own club to worry about, and he's probably thinking, all right, it's good and it's nice, and I would like to help others, but at the end of the day, this is a cutthroat job, and I can't be worrying about these guys too much, because if I let it slip and I lose 3 games in a row, I could be out of a job. That's generally how football is anyway these days, with these knee-jerk reactions. So I think it's up to everyone to like speak about it and mention about it. It's up to like the pundits, it's up to us as like fans and YouTubers, whatever you want to call us. It's up to us to talk about it. It's up to everyone really, and just collectively bring it up and make it more present, because that's how I guess things are changing everything else in the sport, and with like, I guess, Black Lives Matters and like gay rights and everything else, and like the women's game being progressed and like equality for everyone. So we have to talk about everything basically and keep pushing it up, and I think that's the only way to change it really.
It is true. It's a shame because it's reflected across all of football. Like even when you look at referees, like
Mm.
there's no black referees. You look at owners, like I said before, it's just not represented. But then you look at the pitch, and there's so many black players on the pitch. Thinking about Liverpool squad, I'm not sure. We probably have more black and ethnic minority players than we do white players, and it's the
Yeah,
same
for
with.
real.
Yeah, it literally is. So the representation somewhere there's a disparity, like you said, double A. So something needs to be looked at. Like I could see, can you see female managers potentially coming through and getting a job in the Premier League? And if they do you think there would be more support for a female manager than there would be for a black manager?
That's a good question.
I know it's a tough question. It's early in the morning for questions like this.
Yeah, well, this is it. It's so early. I'm like, you threw me. Honestly, I'd probably say there would be. I actually feel like there would be more clamour for a female manager, and I don't want to get on to any section or anything like that. I'm here for the equality, and I would love to see a female manager managing in the Premier League, just because why not? Do you get me? There's no reason as to why not. But I don't know what it is, man. You just said it there, the disparity. Like, I don't know what it is, honestly, because somehow we go from having all of these illustrious Yaya Toures, your Samuel Eto'os, obviously Liverpool had Sadio Mane, you've got Naby Keita, like all of these players that we've had or have been in the Premier League from way back when. Where are they now? What are they doing behind the scenes? Did they understand that, you know what, maybe things just won't change and they didn't bother trying? If so, again, this is where I say we got to look at it from that perspective as well. If you don't try, how's the little kid going to look up and say, I would love to be a manager one day? Who's he got to look up to?
Yeah. Do you know what gets to me a bit more, G? The fact that, and I've only just thought about this, there's so many black assistant managers and coaches.
Yes.
When you look at Thierry Henry, you look at like Les Ferdinand was assistant, Chris Powell. There's so many assistant coaches, so why are they not being thrown into the mix? And it might be a case that they don't want to be, but I'm not having that. I think we've seen Henry wants to be a manager. So
and this is it. You're seeing, sorry to even cut you, but you're seeing like Henry manage. Like I thought this guy was just gonna stay in management, like Patrick Vieira did, and just ride it out and see where that goes. All of a sudden, he's doing punditry, and you're like, okay, fair enough. That's cool. And then, you know, you move on to other, like, as you said about Michael Richards, we don't know if he really wanted to be a coach or a manager. Probably not. But at the same time, why is that not a route that you see viable? Why is it we must go into media? And even in the media, we're not even represented anyway. So I'm trying to figure out where are your avenues to even go after football.
No, I agree with you. Completely agree. And I feel like it was Black Lives Matter happened. And then all of a sudden you see Jermaine Genius, Micah Richards,
don't get me started.
Alex Scott. You start to see all, and you're like, convenient times, right? Convenient times.
Exactly.
Anyway, we'll get to this at some other point. I'm sure we'll touch on this at another point. But what
You've got another show idea.
Yes, we have. This is an entertaining part of the show now, and we call this All Time Premier League 11. Now, you two are going to go head to head. They've sent me their teams. They don't know each other's teams, by the way. So we're going to release the teams. We're going to start with Double A's team first, I think. And then we're going to compare the teams. And we've got to come to an agreement by the end of the show. We have to have an all-time Premier League 11 secured and locked in. What I want you to do, if you're watching the show back, if you're watching live, you comment as well. Let us know your thoughts. Do you want a certain player in? Do you think these two have dropped the ball in their picks? I want to know. So let's have a look. Double A's team. So in goal, he's gone with Alisson Becker. Now, G already is like, okay, I see. He's gone with Alisson Becker in goal. Double A, that's an interesting choice with Alisson Becker because recent goalkeeper manager, recent goalkeeper, still in the Premier League. Why have you gone with Alisson?
I've gone with him because, all right, Now you see, for me, like I was in two minds with this the whole time I did this. So like, am I going for legacy of what guys have won, their history and how good they've been, or am I just going off? Am I bringing their individual talent into it as well and what I think of them as a player? And then I thought to myself, you know what, I need to combine it.
Yeah.
So then when I'm looking at goalkeepers, for me, talent-wise, there's been no other better keeper in the Premier League than Alisson. When I go talent-wise, if I look at legacy-wise and like what goalkeepers done, it's obviously ones that have done more. And I think if you look at Peter Cech until he had the head injury at Chelsea, I think he's arguably the best keeper. But then after the head injury, he wasn't as good. And then when he was at Arsenal, he was shambolic. So I think that brings him down, personally.
Yeah, you need to know when to retire in this.
If I'm looking at his whole career, when I look at Alisson's whole career, all right, it's a lot shorter than Cech's is, and a lot shorter than, say, like someone like Van der Sar or Schmeichel, that were also like contenders for me. But I think his consistency level has been a lot higher than theirs. Yeah. And I think talent-wise, he's just better. Like he's clearly better than all of them on the ball.
I like what you said.
And I've never seen any of these guys score the header that he scored against West Brom. So that actually gave him an extra point for me.
Iconic moments. I like that you've gone off talent, because it should be. Why should somebody who's not in the Premier League now not be in the Premier League all-time 11 just because they're playing currently now? I agree with that, because there's so many players now who are just moving mad in the Premier League the way nobody ever has before. Like, you look at Kevin De Bruyne, like, I don't know if he's any team yet. I'm not going to reveal that, but surely he's going to be in that team by the time he's finished at least.
Oh, 100%.
Because he's doing different things in the Premier League. So let's have a look who you've gone with in defence. We'll run through the team quickly and then we'll talk about it in a second. So, Branislav Ivanovic at right back. We've gone with Virgil van Dijk, no other, at centre back. Then John Terry, I don't like saying his name, but we'll do it. John Terry, Ashley Cole at left back. I feel like at least two of those are a lock-in. But we'll go to midfield. We've gone with a two-man midfield.
You don't want me to talk about it.
So Stevie G Scholes, we don't need to say anything else. Those two certified legends. I'm glad Frank's not in there. And then we go up top. We've gone with this. Look at that front line.
Your team,
imagine playing against that front line. Salah, Suarez, Henry, and Ronaldo. That's just goals. You don't even backed up with a Stevie G and Scholes. Woo! That 11. That's nice, G. Are you a bit worried now, G, that you've seen Double A's 11?
Let's just run to mine. We'll get there.
You don't want me to talk about it, why I done what or whatever.
Yeah, what we're going to do, I'm going to ask you, why have you gone with a kind of, you could go 4-4-2 or 4-2-4. What made you decide the formation, Double A? And we'll talk a bit more about players in a little bit.
The reason I went with this formation, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, for me, when I look at Premier League strikers, I think when it comes to talent, and this is again talent, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, I kind of wanted to put Shearer in, but when I'm looking at Shearer, like he's a goal machine.
Yeah.
And I would say he would be an asset to like any team over a Premier League era, and he is one of the greatest strikers in the Premier League ever. But when I look at talent, I don't think Shearer is talented than like, say, Henry or Suarez.
Yeah.
But then I'm looking, if I've got to put in three, I have to put in Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, I'm looking at it, and then because of like what Salah's did in his time, I cannot ignore Salah either. So then I'm looking at it, I have to go 4-4-2. That's how I've looked at it. And then I'm thinking, all right, my team, because I'm not going for a defensive midfielder, it's not going to be as balanced if I've got Gerrard and Scholes in. But I think that defense is so solid that
that's it. But
I'm looking at it as the whole team.
Gerrard and Scholes can kind of do the balance thing. Scholes can sit back while Stevie G goes forward. Stevie G can sit back while Scholes. I like the balance. That's what England should have done instead of Lampard and Gerrard.
Yeah.
100%. Sure. But I like that. Let's have a look at G's team then, because this is what it's about.
Now I feel like my team's going to be crap just by default.
But I like it. I like the reasoning. You can't not have some of those players in. So let's have a look what G's gone with. So let's look at G's 11. He's going Petr Cech
Why
straight
did you
away.
put him in the Arsenal kit? Why couldn't you put him in his nice Chelsea kit
Do you know
before
what?
the helmet and that?
Listen,
Kind of
you
embarrassing.
try before the helmet, you know. You try finding me like
Looking
it's
like
so difficult.
Magneto.
I'm trying to do this thing quick, and it's like I need a good shot, and they were all like kind of blurry shots. But I agree with you. We need the. Don't ignore the badge. Look at
Ignore the
man,
badge, ignore the helmet.
ignore the badge. We just literally said as well, Petr Cech was dead for Arsenal. So we've got Petr Cech in goal, all-time Premier League 11. Back four. Now this is interesting. We've gone with a United and Chelsea back four. So we've gone Gary Neville, Doc Cotton, I like to call him. Then we've got Rio Ferdinand next to John Terry. That's interesting. The dynamic in the dressing room already double A. I'm not sure about this dynamic.
It's going to be a bit sticky in that dressing room. I'll tell you for free.
And I'm just glad Wayne Bridges at left back.
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
got Ashley Cole in at left back. So let's look at the midfield. Gone with a 3-man. Look at that. That midfield to me is just everything. That's my childhood right there. Stevie G, Patrick Vieira, and Paul Scholes. Do you think Paul Scholes, G, as much as we don't want to respect United players, this guy for me, out of every United player, there's one more, and he might pop up in a little moment, but there's one more aside from Paul Scholes who you've just got to respect how good he was at football.
You have to, man. Like, come on, man. The guy played up front when he first joined. Got into the United team. Yeah. Then he moved into attacking midfield. Then he moved to central, the deep line. Like, the guy was a baller, an absolute baller, and that's why I'm so annoyed that England couldn't figure out a way to play with Gerrard and Scholes. Forget Lampard, Gerrard and Scholes. Those two together in a team. Trust me, you could have had something working, man. Ball playing midfielders can both run, pick out a pass like there's no man's business, can both shoot, can both score. What else do you need? Like, do you know what I mean?
Any player that Alex Ferguson has to beg to come back to save his season has to be in an all-time 11 because
you're begging him to come back.
That's it, man. And he came back and absolutely bossed it again like he'd never been away. Let's look at the front three then. So we had a front four. Let's look at this front three, see if there's any similarities. Whew. I like that. I do. I like that front three. So we've gone Rooney. There's no Suarez, no Salah, but there is Henry and Ronaldo. Wayne Rooney was the other one I wanted to mention. People might have thought I meant Ronaldo, but Wayne Rooney, I'm going to say, even though people rate him, is the most underrated player, I think, in Premier League history. He's a baller. This guy was just on another level for me, G.
He was like, from the moment he came till his last 3 seasons at Manchester United, if I take out all of those seasons and just go from point to point, this guy, he was the best English player. But alongside Gerrard, in my opinion, those two have been England's best players for the last 20, 25 years. And I'm talking include Gaza, include all of them. Gerrard and Rooney would walk into every single England team that has ever been formed because they were just of another level. They were like European players almost, where you just thought, they could walk into anything.
I'd go with Rooney in an England kit. Is England's greatest ever player. England's greatest
100%.
ever. Stevie G still for me is the best ever English player to walk the planet. But Wayne Rooney in an England kit was unbelievable. Even a United kit, like what a player.
Come on, man. What a young Wayne Rooney scoring a hat-trick against Fenerbahce. I was there.
That's it, man. That's it. Are you a little bit worried now, Double A? You've seen Vieira in there, Wayne Rooney, or are you backing your team still?
Not backing my team still. What I would say is that Vieira was one that I did really want to put in, if I'm honest. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, he's the one I wanted to put him as a defensive player. But then I'm thinking, if I've got I'm looking at it as a team thing as well. So I'm looking at with that team, with the defense I've got, I can afford not to have Vieira and have
That's what I was
Gerrard and
going to say.
Scholes in there
You've got
and
Van
have the
Dijk.
extra attacker.
Yeah, you've got Van Dijk, who's got the legs to be able to cover for that midfield, whereas maybe a young Rio could cover for that as well. John Terry doesn't quite have the legs.
That's what I'm saying. You lot are dismissing a young Rio.
We're dismissing.
Look, no, Rio was, do you know what? Rio was tough.
Well.
Rio was tough not to put in. But you see, for me, when I'm looking at, because for me, I had to put, because I think talent-wise, Van Dijk is better than Rio and Terry.
100%.
But I would say that, and I would say talent-wise, though, Ferdinand is better than Terry. But Terry's reading of the game is better. And then when I look at what Terry's won in the Premier League in comparison to Rio, that's why I edge towards him out of the two.
Yeah. It hurts me, though. John Terry hurts
me. It does hurt me to put him in over, but I'm trying to be honest, innit? And take out everything else and keep it football.
And that's why we do it. Despite what we feel, we still go with the team we think is right. Because it's not about having best friends. It's about having a winning team. So let's have a look at both teams head-to-head. So here we go. We've got Double A's 11 on the left-hand side, G's 11 on the right-hand side. That is a game I feel like I need to simulate right now on FIFA.
Real talk.
I feel like I need to go off this and I need to simulate this game to see who would win. But let's have a look at the players that you've got the same. So if we go here, you've got Ashley Cole, John Terry, Gerrard Scholes, Ronaldo and Henry. So I'm guessing right now, those are locked in. For your 11s, those 6 players now are locked into your starting team. So we're looking at goalkeeper. We're looking at right back, 1 centre back, and maybe an extra midfielder or a forward. So it's a toss-up between 2 forwards or a midfielder and a forward, and that's what we'll debate. So I think we need to just choose a keeper first. We'll choose a keeper. We'll choose our defence, then we'll decide on a formation. So let's start with G. G, you went with Petr Cech, not in an Arsenal kit, in a Chelsea kit.
Thank you.
And Double A went with Alisson. We've just discarded Van der Sar, discarded Schmeichel. I feel like you two have picked the best 2, in my opinion. But it's who we go with. So, G, put your argument across for Petr Cech, and then we'll have Double A's argument. By the way, everyone, I'm the judge, so I get to decide. You can decide if you're watching this show. If you're watching it back, please say in the comments who you would have gone with. But please just let us know. G, put your argument across.
To be honest, it's for his time, obviously at Chelsea, even forgetting about what he actually won, the clean sheets that this guy was racking up in Jose Mourinho's first season, in Jose Mourinho's second season, it was ridiculous. And he was saving them way too much. Like, there were points where you thought, Chelsea's defense can't be breached because no one was able to breach it. They were rarely conceding goals. They went 80-odd games not losing at home. So that tells you how good they were. But this guy, penalty saves. Like, honestly, he was a whole different player before that injury. Like, he was too good. But I can hear this Alisson argument slyly. So I am kind of slyly swaying that way, to be honest.
Well, G's kind of Liverpool affiliation might be swaying.
And this is it. This is it.
Double A, Alisson Becker. Why do you think he's got to be in there?
I just say if you look at them both as keepers, talent-wise, Alisson's the better goalkeeper. I'd also say in Alisson's defense, all right, statistically, you might say, I'm not sure if he has, but you could say that maybe Cech has got more clean sheets than Alisson. I'll say probably because he's had a longer time in the Premier League. But Alisson has played in a much more attacking team than Petr Cech had at his best times at Chelsea. So Alisson actually is put in the firing line more than Petr Cech is, I would say, consistently game after game. And for me, as I say, even though it's a shorter time span, he has been the more consistent of the 2 keepers. So
I think when it comes down to keepers, what you've got to look at is match-winning saves, those crucial saves. When it comes down to it, yes, Petr Cech was safe, he was sound, he was secure, but that was back in the day where you didn't have any pressure on the keepers. Now, your centre backs are pushing right up the field. There's so many 1v1s. The game keeps rolling as well because of VAR. You've got to be able to play with your feet as well as play with that. And I feel like Alisson Becker, everyone talks about Ederson. Now, I hate when Alisson does this Cruyff turn. I hate it.
So do I.
In terms of distribution, Alisson's distribution into the midfield, fizzing passes in to Fabinho, Firmino, Henderson. I feel like nobody does that better. I feel like he can read the game. So, do you know what? I'm going with double A on this one. Alisson Becker goes into the all-time Premier League.
I'll give you that.
Check, good shirt. I feel like it was all leaning towards that way in the end. So, let's go centre-back and right-back. Let's look at... I'm looking at Van Dijk now, and for me, Van Dijk is the greatest ever centre-back in the Premier League just because of the way he's changed the game. But you two have gone John Terry. I'd have gone Van Dijk and Rio. I'm not going to lie, I'd have gone Van Dijk and Rio, but Rio Ferdinand, he kind of changed the way a centre-back was played. Do you know what I mean? Like Rio Ferdinand was the OG. He was the original to do it. So, G, put your argument across for Rio because he's in your team.
It just, honestly, talent-wise, everything you guys have said, 100%. I do generally still believe that talent-wise, as Jerry said, big up Jerry himself, VVD is the greatest centre-back in terms of talent-wise. If we're talking legacy, he isn't. He couldn't be because he hasn't won enough to be put up there with those guys. So I had to think Rio has got the legacy, plus he is a fantastic defender. And I felt like you have to kind of have John Terry in there. As much as I don't really like the guy, you got to kind of have him in there because he was that good of a defender who was so slow, but was still able to, do what he's doing. So Rio just edges it for me. But I do believe that Van Dijk, by the time he leaves the Premier League, when he retires, he would 100% be out and out the best centre-back ever.
Van Dijk, yeah, could be the greatest ever across any league in football. Double A, you've got Van Dijk, and I hear G's argument for Rio because I rate Rio. Rio was unbelievable. But teams have to change their game plan now when they're coming up against Van Dijk. Van Dijk has made the game look so easy in the way that he does things. He could play any position on the field. Defenders can't outrun him. They can't out-physical. They can't out... I don't even know if out-physical is a word.
I was just about to ask.
They can't even out-jump him, out-hustle him, trick him, 1v1. He's got them in the... Like, is there anything Van Dijk can't do? And for that reason... Can we keep him out of this team?
For me, you can't keep him out. Talent-wise, he's the guy. Like if you look at his reading of the game, it's up there with Terry. If you look at like his actual natural talent and ability as a footballer, it's up there with Ferdinand. So then, for me, he's better. Like talent-wise, he's better than both of them. But as I say, they both got the legacy over him. And they both won more than, and they've both done it over a longer time at the highest stage than he has. That's what those two have over him. But if I'm looking at it talent-wise as a player, like I don't think there's any argument. He's the best of the three. So, when I'm putting him up against Ferdinand, I just look at it like, all right, Ferdinand, I'd say he doesn't read the game quite as well as Van Dijk because Ferdinand was someone in a lot of games he would make mistakes, but because he was such a good footballer. He would recover. But Van Dijk don't really make them mistakes and have to recover, if that makes sense. Van Dijk is cleaning up other people's mistakes when they make mistakes in our defense. So
I agree. And
he's just so solid as he's not our captain, but you may as well say he is our captain even when Henderson's playing. He's just another captain because he's so dominant and how he leads the defense, and he's not one of them that's shouting. He's not like a Terry that's shouting at everyone. Effing this or whatever and shouting at people, oh, you did this or you did that. But he's just got that way he just talks to people and compose him. You can see they're just listening, taking in what he's saying, and they're like, yeah, I rate you because you know this.
It's just a look as well. And with Van Dijk, he just goes like, gives it the look. And
plus, the other thing I wanted to say as well is that's like I've never seen a defender that like so many attackers have the ball and they just don't want it with him.
Yeah.
I just don't like. I've never like. You see it the odd times with certain players and stuff. They're like, I'm not going to take him up, but you don't see it like consistently. They don't want it with this guy. Like every team we play, players that they try and go for the other centre back, or they try and attack our team in a different way where they don't have to go head to head with Van Dijk. They just don't want it because they know they can't beat the guy. And I've never seen that with any other defender.
Do you know what it is with Van Dijk, G? And I know you like basketball. It's like when Vince Carter or when Andrew Wiggins when they go up to the rim for a dunk, people don't want to know. It's like, do you know what? I'm not even going to try and compete. I'm not trying to block this because I'm going to get posterized. I'm going to be a highlight reel. And nobody wants to be a highlight reel where Van Dijk just makes them look like a baby. Do you know what I mean? Just dashing people off for fun.
Again, I'm probably going to end up siding with Double A here again because everything he said there was, again, like all that came into my mind was just pure legacy. But everything you just said there, I have to take that legacy out of it. And I probably would put Van Dijk in ahead of Terry or Rio, anyone. So anyway.
Yeah, it's the same as what JJ's saying. He's saying like Van Dijk's impact as a centre-back, it's just mad. Like, where do we judge things off now? Like Maldini even said Van Dijk is the best. Company and Rio said Van Dijk is the best. Whereas you've got Terry and Rio, we talk about legacy and we talk about should that matter when you're going into an all-time 11? You should just be based on what you've done as an individual. Van Dijk has changed Liverpool more than Terry and Rio changed.
In saying that, in terms of like, I agree as well because obviously he did change us. He wouldn't have gone to Chelsea and changed them at that time. He wouldn't have gone to Manchester United and changed them like so dramatically. You got to remember, we were real crap at defending. For better use of word. Like we weren't that good. So would he have had that same impact going into a Chelsea team full of Carvalho, Makalele, Essien at that time? Probably not, because you had a good team anyway when you joined, so you wouldn't have been exposed as much regardless.
I also think, though, Van Dijk is lucky in the fact that he had a Gomez, a Matip, a Trent, a Robbo. These are class players around him at the time. We was just missing that leader at the back. Yeah. Whereas if he went into Man United, he's just exposed. He's going to be exposed every week. So even though he's good at 1v1s, he would have had about 10 1v1s every game. So as percentages go, you're going to get past him, say, 3-4 times, which doesn't make him look as good. So I feel like going into those teams, his career wouldn't have been as good. It's the perfect move for him. Yeah. But what a player. Do you know what?
100.
G. Go. Virgil van Dijk. So Van Dijk's in. So we've got Alisson, Van Dijk, and it's
I tried to be non-Liverpool biased, and look what it got me.
That's two. But this is where it gets interesting now, I feel. I feel like you had those two AA. When I was looking at the team, I was going to already make, highlight them in gold already. But then I thought, you know what? They could convince me another way. So I'm going to post this up on Instagram, on Twitter later with the 11 that we choose. So make sure you tune in later on our pages to find out who was chosen. Let's go right back there. This is where we could shift a little bit. Now, Ivanovic, I like the guy. It's a good choice. Another right back I like was Zabaleta. I feel like he came in and changed the way that Man City played. I'm surprised none of you have gone with Trent AA. I'm not going to lie.
You know what? I was thinking about Trent, but all right. You see, when I'm looking again, because I'm looking at also my team, and I think that of all the right backs you've just mentioned, defensively, I think Ivanovic was the most solid. Yeah. But then also this guy comes up with important goals as well. And actually, all right, he's not the quickest and whatever, but he had a decent cross on him, and he was solid on that side there. So I was just looking at it like, if I'm having this team and I'm having like basically a 4-4-2 with Gerrard and Scholes in the middle, I need a right back that's going to be like more solid than anything. And of the four you've mentioned, he's the most solid. So
I was looking at
I've got to go for him.
At AA, I was looking, thinking, nah, he's lost this Ivanovic. But every time you speak, bro, I'm like,
Yeah, that's what I was
Makes a
thinking.
good point, you know. Ivanovic got those crucial goals. Ivanovic can slot into centre back. He's defensively the best right back, probably the Premier League's ever seen. Like, and all with pigeon feet as well. Like, that's mad to me. That is mad to me. So, gee, you've got an argument to be had here because Neville was ahead, but I feel like Ivanovic is just kind of he's taking a bit of a lead. So let's go.
Obviously, what you're saying about Ivanovic is 100% true because defensively he is better, but it's very difficult for you to hold down a position for your entire career at the top level. And then even at his old age, as much as Jamie Carragher said, no one wants to grow up and be a Gary Neville, that might be true. But I'm sorry, anybody who can hold down a position for that amount of time and be that good at that level, you have to be in the team. He was at 30 odd, 31, 32, 30. He was still there as the right back until your Rafaels, Valencias, and all these other new guys started coming in. It was Gary Neville. Do you get what I mean? From young, him and his brother, and he overtook that from a young age. Like, so for me, I just have to put him in there because I'm just like, you've been here for so long and been at the top level for so long. How can I miss you out?
All right. But all right, let me say something in respect to that. Yeah. Because all right, Gary Neville was in arguably the greatest United side ever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at it, and even like Jerry James saying Walker as well, because I put Walker ahead of Gary Neville. But anyway,
I think Zabaleta's better than Walker.
If you look at that United side, and you was to put in Ivanovic, Zabaleta, I would even say Walker as well, or even Trent. Yeah. If you were to put any of them in that Man United side at right back, would you get at least the same output that you got from Gary Neville? At least the same. Would you think it would make a difference, or would you think it would make an improved difference? Because I don't think it would make it worse with any of them.
Yeah. Do you know what Gary Neville is?
him.
You know what Gary Neville is? He's the Jordan Henderson effect. Neville brings to a team the likes of what Jordan Henderson does. He holds everybody to that higher standard. He does. He works hard.
Bro. He does. You can't disrespect that.
Gary Neville got shook when Vieira was boiling him off in the tunnel and Roy Keane had to come and save him. What do you mean, man?
The passion and the heart for the club. Listen,
you're talking about Vieira first.
Gary Neville,
if you're Gary Neville looking at
he was a bully.
Vieira,
he bullied little Reyes when Reyes was 20 years old. Vieira went and backed him, and then when Vieira went, he shat himself, and then Roy Keane had to come and save him.
So
have it right.
Yeah, but
you're talking about. Because
I've seen Jordan Henderson
from Manchester
stuck on as well. But does that mean that Jordan Henderson is
against who? Who's stuck on
against Chelsea? He's constantly targeted by Chelsea, constantly, because they know they can get at him because for whatever reason they know they can. I've seen it with Costa. I've seen it with Oscar. I've seen it with Ramirez. Like I've seen players get onto Jordan Henderson, and he don't always look like.
We can't have that debate because Hendo comes and steps up for everyone. If anyone gets in a fight, Hendo's there. Even though Hendo might get sparked out, he doesn't care because he's the guy.
But Hendo is the captain. Gary Neville wasn't the captain. Roy Keane is the captain.
I feel like just because he didn't square up to Vieira, I'm talking about passion for the club, holding everyone to a higher standard, making sure that everybody's doing their. Look at David Beckham. Like David Beckham was the player he was because he had freedom because Neville was so secure. I
100%.
feel like Beckham got all the plaudits. Gary Neville can't go adventuring like Ivanovic and everybody because Beckham's the delivery guy.
Exactly.
You never know. Like Neville might have had that in his locker, but Beckham was just iconic for doing such a thing. It's hard because what Double A is saying, we should be putting Ivanovic in there, but I feel like Neville's numbers don't do him any respect.
But and the numbers. Just look at talent of the players.
No. I agree with you, bro. I genuinely believe Ivanovic, because I didn't even think really of Ivanovic. I did actually think Walker or Zabaleta. Those are the two players that pop. But when you said Ivanovic, I was like, what? But now that you said it, I hear where you're fully coming from. And I do, again, he is probably as close as second as I, but you can't, like, without Gary Neville, there is no Beckham.
You know what it is? Do you know what it is, though, G? Who was actually...
Yo, come on, bro. Like, have you not watched Manchester United for the last 3 years? Like?
Nah, you know, disrespecting Davids.
Who's pushing Neville though? I can't think. Who's the other right back that's pushing Neville? Ivanovic is holding a spot over Ferreira, Basingwa. He's holding spots over these kind of players.
Ferreira and Basingwa.
Listen, those guys are like seasoned
Portuguese
professionals.
internationals.
They're
You know
both
what I mean?
okay. Ferreira, maybe. Basingwa, I don't even want to hear that name ever again in this conversation. Basingwa. Oh, I'm better than Basingwa. Come on, man.
Oh man. Right. One last question. G.
Right.
This question is going to decide whether Neville goes in or not.
All right, cool.
If Neville isn't in the class of 92, is it class of 92, the United?
Yeah.
If he's not in the class of 92, does his career go the same way and is he classed as a legend? Say if he's not associated with Beckham and Giggs and Scholes and all these men, is his career as successful?
If he still won everything that he won anyway, or
Just if he came in a different era. Say if he goes into this United, if you put Ivanovic into this Chelsea squad, the better. If you put Neville in, would he make such a big difference?
but look at this. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. This United team is shit, so I've got nothing to actually work with anyway. Like Chelsea are at least a good team, so no, he wouldn't. He wouldn't make them better. He wouldn't.
JJ's with you on this one, G.
Bro, he
Bossing
was
dead.
JJ,
Look
man.
at this though. Look at this comment. Monobrow merchant.
Oh, I forgot about the monobrow. He was famous for Anthony Davis 2.0. I'm telling you.
Literally
Tell
AD, the bro. That is mad. Do you know what? Neville was assuming
Go on.
right back.
Go on.
It's got to be Branislav after what's been said. I would put Trent in there personally. I think Trent has changed the game, revolutionized the game. But out of these two teams, I'm going Ivanovic. I'm sorry, G. Ivanovic.
It's cool, man. Don't worry. I see where we're heading anyway. It's fine.
Gets in there for me. So let's go. I like I said, I see where we're headed. No, this is interesting though. Let's go
All right.
formation.
This is where I win.
4-4-2. Double A's gone with. And I know Double A, you've probably gone with 4-4-2 because of the attackers you wanted to put in there. Not thinking about, okay, this is how we'll play with the balance. It is balanced, but have you gone 4-4-2 just because you wanted to get Salah and Suarez into that side?
Yeah, if I'm honest, yeah.
Oh, that's a point against Double A. Sorry, continue.
No, but it's not because I just want to have them in because they're Liverpool players. I want them in because I think they're justified in being there. If that makes sense. But if I have to go for 3 in midfield, then obviously, yeah, then one of them has to go.
G, 4-3-3. We've seen so many formations. We've seen 4-4-2, which was the old school. We've seen a diamond, which is when Jose Mourinho's Chelsea came about. We saw that 1-2-1 kind of diamond in midfield with 2 up top. We've seen the new age 3-5-2, 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it. Is 4-3-3 the standard for football? Is that the all-time nailed-on formation, do you think?
Yeah, I think it allows balance both ways, attacking and defending. It gives you that stability that you need going forward, but then you're still defensively sound. As opposed to like a 4-4-2, you always felt like in the middle of the pitch, if they have one extra player, all of a sudden now it's a bit like, ooh, what do we do with the third man running and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I think 4-3-3 is probably the best formation.
You know what? I can't not have Patrick Vieira in an all-time 11 team. I think, aside from Gerrard, Vieira is the best ever in the Premier League.
Baller.
Scholes is up there as well, but I think Gerrard and Vieira have to be in that central midfield. So I've got to go 4-3-3. I'm giving G Vieira already, but Double A, who do you want to take out instead of having your 2? Who are you taking out running to go up against Rooney for that final slot?
Sorry, Mo. I'd have to take out Salah then. I have to. Like, talent-wise, Suarez is he's just too much, man. He's too
Suarez
much. And
different
Suarez
beast.
was doing it in a much inferior team, and he was shining. For me, he's carrying the team. So yeah, I can't go against Suarez out of them two. I can't do it.
So it is 3-1. So G, we're trying to restore a little bit of that dignity back.
Bit of pride.
Wayne Rooney. I don't even know if we've got time to talk about how good this guy was, but why should Rooney get in there ahead of Suarez, leading the line, by the way? So this is your striker.
I think I'll be real though. I didn't even have it at 4-3-3. I had it as 4-3-1-2. I had Ronaldo and Henry up front. To be fair,
So you run two strikers with Rooney as like a central attacking midfielder.
Yeah, but it don't make no real difference because he'd be the third man
Rooney,
anyway.
False nine. If we talk false nine,
yeah,
he can drop back into that kind of.
He can drop back, but yeah, I would have Rooney ahead of Suarez and Salah. To be honest with you, as much as I think Salah is a fantastic player, Suarez, we already know what we think about Suarez, but Rooney did he probably did equally as good as both Suarez and Salah, but for such a long time in terms of he had seasons where they were unplayable. Rooney was unplayable between like 2008 and like 2011. That was unplayable Rooney. Bald head Rooney, bicycle kick Rooney, on the front of FIFA cover Rooney. That was ultimate level Rooney. Do you get what I'm saying? But Salah, it is still fantastic. Suarez, he's only ever done it for one season, so that will always play against him, regardless of how sick that season was.
One season.
Yeah,
that's
of course.
A big step.
Yeah,
so basically, Double A, what G's done is he's slandered your player.
No, I ain't slandering. He's gonna beat them.
G, do you know what I want to point out first in Double A's team? He's put Suarez and Ivanovic in the same team. Like Suarez is never going hungry.
You thought I had beef with Terry and Rio. This is going to be biting and all sorts. Like,
do you know what? I didn't even think of that. I didn't even realize that until you said it. I was like, shit, you're right.
Ivanovic has been chosen as well, so maybe that plays a little part in it. I don't know. Double A. G's kind of played down a little bit then what Suarez was.
No, I'm not playing him down.
No, a little. No, I mean, like you said, one season he was elite. One season, probably the best ever season for one individual player.
Yes.
So, why does Suarez get the nod over Wayne Rooney? And I mean, Wayne Rooney's like GOAT. He's a great. So why would you put Suarez in there?
All right, before I address that bit, I'm just going to address like my right back situation. Right, to be fair, after the whole biting thing, Ivanovic accepted Suarez's apology and whatever, and as far as I know, they always got on ever since that. So I don't think there'll be a problem with my team.
I love how he's come out. I love how he's come out in the press conference. Like it's a press conference, like just justifying why I've just signed this player. We've had a discussion in the dressing room. They've shook hands. They're happy to move forward and play in the same team together. I love it. I love it.
But
go on, talk about Suarez.
All right, Suarez and Rooney head to head. All right, Rooney, he's got the longevity, he's got the consistency season after season. He obviously changed the game as a youngster. No, I'm just saying, I'm giving you the bits for Rooney to say, yeah, cool. But one thing you've got to give Suarez over Rooney is that Suarez, the way he carried that Liverpool side, Rooney has not carried the team like that. You could say Rooney carried the Everton team, but he wasn't carrying it to the level. Suarez took us to the brink of winning the league.
Mm-hmm.
Suarez took us to the brink of winning the league. Suarez was a guy, he's taking the ball on and like consistently, he's beating like 4 or 5 players. He's just taking the ball on from the halfway line and just killing teams and scoring or like making an assist for players. He got the best out of Sturridge and Sterling. He was making him look like crazy. Then also, like, think of the goals this guy's scoring. He's scoring goals from like practically the halfway line. He's scoring goals in the box. He's like, what is he not doing? What is the guy not doing? And again, he's taken, I would say, you could say an average side and just above average side or whatever to the brink of winning the title. he like for me, like Ash was saying, like that's the best individual probably season ever of one individual player. For me, if Suarez was in a side that was challenging for the Champions League, people would have been saying this guy was the best player in the world at that moment in time. It's just the fact he was just playing for us at that time, and he was only really playing in the Premier League once a week. He was that good. Like he was insane.
Good man.
He was insane, and that's the reason he didn't stay with us as long as he stayed with, because the world took notice, and then Barcelona came for him, and his head was turned, and that was the issue. If that didn't happen, like who knows what would have happened? Who knows what would have happened with that side? To be honest, if he stays, because when he went, that's when everything went pear-shaped.
Yeah,
for us and for Rodgers.
Ricky Lambert and that.
Balotelli and
Marini.
I was going to say Carroll, but Carroll come at the same time as
he came at the same
time. Do you know what Double A does, G? He is so persuasive. But what I will say, if you look at, I'm just looking at the players you've selected. You've got Ronaldo in there, right? But if you look at Ronaldo as a Premier League player,
yeah,
I would say Suarez had a bigger impact in the Premier League than Ronaldo has had in the Premier League. I think we judge Ronaldo off Madrid, and I know he won the Champions League with United. I know he got the Ballon d'Or at United, but that Ronaldo for me wasn't getting numbers. He wasn't getting the top goal scorer every season at United. He wasn't the finished article. There was nobody else at that time really challenging for the best player in the world. So I would have put Suarez in ahead of Cristiano for Premier League 11.
This is it with Ronaldo. Like, as you just said there, it was different. Like, you put Ronaldo because you just think Ronaldo. That's all I thought was, oh, it's Ronaldo, he has to go in. But you're saying that there, the problem that we're going to have is that there's a lot of players who you could throw in there, but they are playing for teams who are already crap. So it's like you're going to be highlighted so exponentially just because you're in a worse team. Suarez was in arguably a not so good team. Yeah, there was a couple good players here and there, but he was literally the only world-class player that we possessed. Do you get what I'm saying?
You know what you're doing here with Ronaldo. I'm looking at someone like Gareth Bale and what he did for Tottenham to get Tottenham in the Champions League, to win 2 Player of the Season awards. I feel like he had a bigger impact in the Premier League than Ronaldo had for Man United. I just feel like Bale
before he left to go to Madrid, that season before he left, his numbers weren't even that. I think I read it. His numbers weren't even that good as opposed to the previous season, which made it funny that he left that season, because you're like, well, your numbers are not even that good for you
Has
to command.
Ronaldo won a Golden Boot?
I think once.
I think he did.
I think once.
But then also, you've got to remember, Ronaldo was, when he was at Man United for most seasons, he was actually just a winger.
Yeah.
He wasn't the player that he was at Real Madrid. That's basically playing as a striker that didn't defend and whatever. He worked a lot harder. His game was different when he was at United.
I'm only having this argument because when you've argued about Suarez then, I can't not put him in, but there's no chance Rooney is not going in this team, because
100%.
Wayne Rooney is the best striker that we've ever seen in the Premier League, hands down. So I'm just raising the question whether you want to break the rules a little bit and maybe swap Cristiano out and put Suarez and Rooney in. I don't know, but that's a decision that we all need to have.
I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take Ronaldo. Yeah, I'll take that.
Because I would put Suarez in before Ronaldo.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
This is the first time that us three, by the way, these two love to gang up on me in the group chat, everyone, by the way. This is the first time I've ever suggested anything to these two, and they've gone with it first time without me having to pull a tooth out. So, do you know what? I'm taking this one as a win. Let's run through the all-time Premier League team then. We've got Alisson Becker in goal. Then we've got a back four of Ashley Cole, John Terry, Virgil van Dijk, Branislav Ivanovic. That sounds mad, that back four. When you
Yeah.
say it, that's not the team you would think as a
Yeah.
fan, but after speaking about it, 100%. We've got a midfield three, Gerard Vieira Scholes, standard, no argument. And then we've gone with Thierry Henry, Luis Suarez, and Wayne.
You've gone for double A's back four, my midfield, and we've combined our attack. Yeah, that works.
So does that mean you want to call it a draw, G? Even though double A
I would have called it a draw.
Do you know what? I love that one. Because if we would have just sat down and chose our all-time 11s and combined it as a team, as a Klopp Zone team, we would never have come up with this team.
Nah.
That's why double A, like discussions like this, they're so important, aren't they? Because you can kind of convince each other, you can compare and contrast a little bit more. That's why it's important to bring it onto a show, isn't it, sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. And there's going to be times where, as you say, you just don't think about certain players, or you think of them and you think, nah, because you want that person in more. But then when actually somebody else brings up valid points, you're actually like, yeah, true. Because I'm thinking that when I look at, even though I look at the team and I only want to put two midfielders in there, I'm like, how could I not really put Vieira in there?
Yeah.
Because if you look at like the all-round midfielder, he is that. I would say Scholes and Gerrard will give more in attack and whatever else in midfield. But if you look at the all-round game of midfields, if I'm going to have to pick one, I'll probably pick, my Liverpool bias would say Gerrard, but if I'm being objective, I'll probably have to say Vieira, if I'm honest.
I feel like that's what we should bring to next week's show. What I want people to do, though, in the comments, let us know what you'd like us to speak about. While it's the summer, while it's pre-season, we'll do shows like this. We could do like a list of all-time who was the best 1v1 defender. Passer, volleyer, strike. Do you know what I mean? We can do things like this.
By the way,
let us know.
By the way, I'm sorry, but I really can't get over the fact that you used Peter Cech at Arsenal. I feel like that's going against me. So viewers are going to see this and be like, oh, what was G thinking? I'm like, I didn't want that Cech. I wanted the Cech that choked. I'm just saying, just disclaimer.
Do you know what? When I was going to say when I post the team, I'll put better Cech as Chelsea, but we don't need to because he's not even got in the team. So, yeah, disclaimer, I apologize. We should have had Chelsea's.
Thank you.
Not Arsenal's Petr Cech, because they are two different people. It was a different guy underneath the head guard. So discard the picture. It was Petr Cech under Jose Mourinho. But that was our all-time 11. What a show. It's been a pleasure, guys. I love chewing the fat, spitting the bacon, whatever you want to say on these shows. And we'll be back next week, the same time, with a heated discussion again. But tune in because us three are coming back this week with The Ball is in Your Court tomorrow evening. You want to watch this because it's all about Michael Owen and whether we think he's a Liverpool legend or not. It's going to get heated. I don't have to talk. These two are just going to go at each other. I might get involved because I'm passionate on one side. I'm not going to lie. But that's going to be a great show.
But you cannot be biased as a judge. Thank you very much.
I promise I won't be biased. I'll try and find my wig for tomorrow. It might not be a judge's wig.
You don't need to be.
Some kind of wig. But please, make sure you're following these two AA Sports. G keeping it G. Make sure you hit subscribe. Hit that subscribe
We need that
button.
subscribe, guys. We need 500.
Notification button as well. Hit that and you'll get notified on every show that we do. But until next time, you two, it's been a pleasure. You'll never walk alone. Peace.
Boom.